Scene 4. Shalya leads the Kauravas. As the sun rose on the 18th morning, the Kauravas, after cremating Karna and the other slain warriors, mounted their chariots and came together. Their grief had given way to numbness born from seeing so much death and destruction, and almost mechanically they prepared for the day's battle. Duryodhana looked around at the remaining fighters. Which of them should be the commander-in-chief for what would likely be the final day of the war? The obvious choice was Kripa Acharya, but he was clearly reluctant to continue the fight. The prince then thought of Ashvathama. As the son of his preceptor, Ashvathama was another possibility. But when Duryodhana asked him, he replied, "Oh, I think you should choose Shalya. In birth, prowess, and energy, fame, and every other accomplishment, Shalya is superior to all of us." Renouncing his attachment for his own kinsmen, Shalya has joined our side and has fought relentlessly. So let him lead our troops, just like Skanda leading the Celestials. Applauding Ashvathama's words, the other warriors surrounded Shalya and shouted, "Jai! Jai! Victory! Victory!" Duryodhana got down from his chariot and approached Shalya with folded hands. "O hero, once again I come to seek your favor. Become our commander. With you at our head, we will strike terror into our foes. There is no one among us as brave or powerful as you. O foremost of kings, take command of these forces, just as Kartikeya commands the army of the gods." Having abandoned any hope of coming out of the battle alive, still Shalya accepted Duryodhana's proposal. Folding his palms, he replied, "O mighty armed king, I will face the Pandavas without fear. Forming a mighty array, I shall defeat their assembled armies. Let us lose no time in going forth once again for battle." Duryodhana cheered Shalya and had him installed as commander-in-chief, personally pouring the sanctified water over Shalya's head. The Kauravas sent up lion-like roars and beat thousands of drums. Inspired now with a new hope, the Kauravas moved towards the battlefield at Shalya's command, spreading out into an eagle-shaped formation. 10,000 elephants, 11,000 chariot drivers, 11,000 horsemen, and 500,000 infantry still remained from the original 4 million Kaurava warriors. They fanned out and marched resolutely towards the battlefield, all of them determined to fight to death. Hearing the joyous cries of the Kauravas, Yudhishthir received the news that Shalya had been appointed commander. "O Keshava, what do you think should be done? I depend fully on your advice." "Yes, I know Shalya as the foremost of fighters. O king, Shalya should not be underestimated. Empowered by the post of commander, Shalya will be no less powerful than Bhishma, Drona, or even Karna. Still, I think you can kill him. I do not see another who will be able to kill Shalya. O hero, go forth and slay Shalya, like Shakra Indra slew the demon Shambhara. Now that you have crossed the fathomless Kaurava ocean, Do not sink into the small pond of Shalya. Now in battle, display all your Kshatriya strength as well as your ascetic power. Shalya's time has surely come. Yudhishthir mounted his chariot, pondering Krishna's cogent advice. It must be as Krishna had said. Yudhishthir recalled his promise to kill Shalya. It was fitting that the Madras monarch should meet his end at the hands of his dear friend and nephew. Still, it would be a hard-fought battle. Both of them were past masters at spear fighting, and they had already met for several fierce encounters. So this next one would be their last. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Scene 5. Yudhishthir slays Shalya and his younger brother. Now with Duryodhana at their head, the Pandava troops marched out for battle. Soon the fighting began. Seeing Yudhishthir's white umbrella in the distance, Shalya urged his chariot driver to make straight for him. Shalya was soon confronted by a large body of chariot fighters who showered Shalya with arrows and lances. But the Madras king stood his ground and responded with volleys of gold-winged shafts, which struck down dozens of those warriors fighting on behalf of the Pandavas. Karna's two remaining sons, Satyasena and Chitrasena, charged at Nakula like a pair of tigers attacking an elephant in the forest. They covered Nakula with keen arrows and sundered his bow. But Nakula quickly strung another bow and returned their attack. Laughing all the while, Nakula killed Satyasena's 4 horses and struck Chitrasena on the chest with 3 sharp shafts. Satyasena then jumped aboard his brother's chariot, and the 2 princes stood side by side, shooting their arrows at Nakula. Unshaken, Nakula hurled a bright dart, steeped in oil and resembling a dreadful snake. It hit Satyasena and penetrated his heart. Chitrasena then roared in anger and increased his attack on Nakula, killing his horses and smashing his chariot. Seeing his father careless and under attack, Nakula's son Sutasoma came to his aid. Sutasoma took him onto his own chariot, and then Nakula carried on fighting. After releasing a large number of shafts which baffled his opponent, Nakula let go an arrow with a razor-sharp head shaped like a half-moon. It struck Chitrasena in the neck and severed his head, sending it flying to the ground. The prince dropped forward from his chariot and fell to the earth like a tree cut down by an axe. Witnessing Nakula killing Karna's 2 sons, the Kaurava soldiers retreated. Shalya rallied them as he stood fearlessly in the battle, faced by numbers of Pandava warriors. Headed by Kripa Acharya and Kritavarma, the Kauravas rushed at the Pandavas with loud cries. They were met by solid lines of troops led by Duryodhana and Satyaki. The 2 armies clashed with a deafening clamor. The air was filled with smoke from fiery weapons, released by powerful chariot warriors, as well as with the stench of blood. Fighting his way through the dense Pandava ranks, Shalya approached Yudhishthir. He assailed him with a downpour of arrows, but Yudhishthir checked them all with his own. As the leading warriors on both sides contended with one another, Yudhishthir and Shalya fought a violent duel. They exchanged arrows which collided mid-air with showers of sparks. Appearing just like Indra and Bali fighting for the sovereignty of the universe, those two mighty heroes shot blazing shafts from their bows resembling thunderbolts. Now, showing his intention to slay Shalya, Yudhishthir suddenly released a broad-headed arrow which cut down his enemy's flag standard. Shalya, raging, replied with thousands of straight arrows which struck Yudhishthir on every part of his body. Those shafts completely covered the Pandava king as well as his horses, chariot, and driver. Yudhishthir's brothers then came to his assistance and rained down long barbed arrows upon Shalya. Backed by Kripa Acharya and Ashvatthama, the Madras king put up a savage fight. The Pandavas had never before seen Shalya so ferocious. His arrows found the weak points of his assailants, who fell back, stunned by the force of Shalya's attack. Shalya resisted the combined assault of Yudhishthir, Satyaki, Bhima, as well as the two sons of his sister Madri, Nakula and Sahadev. Duryodhana then came to Shalya's support, along with Kritavarma by his side. And for a long time, an awful battle raged between the mighty heroes, who angrily sought each other's destruction. In the meantime, Arjuna had been surrounded by the remaining warriors of the Trigarta army. Gudakesha slew them mercilessly, and they cried out in distress. Hearing those cries, Ashvatthama raced over to support them. After failing in his attempt to make Duryodhana stop the war, Ashvatthama had now resolved to fight to the end. His father and almost all of his friends had been slain. So even if peace were made, what was there left to live for anyway? Careless of Vyasdev's cautionary words, Ashvatthama attacked Arjuna with all of his power. Those two god brothers, forgetting their former friendship, attacked each other like a couple of maddened bulls, attempting to gore the other with their horns. The sky was filled with their arrows, and the battle between them was wonderful even to the celestials. Now, gaining the upper hand, Arjuna slew Ashvatthama's 4 horses and chariot driver. Drona's son stood fearlessly on his immobile chariot, continuing to resist Arjuna's attack. Even as Ashvatthama fought with Arjuna, he rained his shafts on the other Pandava soldiers and slew hundreds. Suddenly, Surata, a powerful Pandava chariot fighter, bore down upon Ashvatthama with a great shout. Droni jumped to the ground with his bow in hand. He placed a keen shaft on its string and drew it back to his ear. Shot with all of his strength, that arrow went right through Surata's chest. It split his heart and emerged out from his back and entered the earth. Quickly, Ashvatthama ran over and got up on Surata's chariot. Many other Kaurava fighters, led by Shakuni and Uluka, raced to his assistance. A fierce battle then ensued between Arjuna and the Kaurava warriors, who were backed by thousands of troops. And not far from Ashwatthama, Shalya continued to fight with frightful force. Inspired by thoughts of a glorious victory or death and elevation to the celestial regions, Shalya encountered all the great Pandava heroes. No one could shake Shalya as he stood on his chariot, blazing like the sun god himself. Shalya's arrows went out in endless lines in all directions. Thousands of brave Pandava fighters lost their lives as they tried to approach Shalya in battle. Now, remembering his vow as well as Krishna's words, Yudhishthira pressed forward towards Shalya. The Madras monarch, standing near Yudhishthira, looked like the planet Saturn approaching the moon. Both men blew their conchs, creating a roaring sound which shook the atmosphere. Gazing at each other with burning eyes, they yelled out their challenges and counter-challenges. They shrouded each other with waves of arrows. Wounded all over, they appeared like a King Shuka and Shalmali tree in full bloom. The soldiers watching the battle could not decide who would win, whether Yudhishthira would gain the earth after slaying Shalya, or if Shalya, after killing Yudhishthira, would bestow the earth upon Duryodhana. Shalya then sent steel shafts which tore into Yudhishthira's leather hand protectors and cut his bow in two. Yudhishthira spun around in his chariot and then took up another bow, stringing it as he turned again to face his antagonist. Yudhishthira sent a number of swift arrows which killed Shalya's 4 horses as well as his chariot driver. The Pandava king then covered Shalya with hundreds of searing shafts which rocked Shalya as he stood on his stationary chariot. Ashwatthama sped over to rescue the afflicted Madras king, taking him onto his own chariot. Within moments, Duryodhana, observing the fight, had another great chariot brought for Shalya. Mounting that chariot, Shalya charged at Yudhishthira, his chariot's huge iron wheels resounding like thunder. Flanked by other warriors, Shalya rushed forward into the flights of gold-winged arrows which Yudhishthira was shooting. Bhima, Satyaki, and the twins also challenged Shalya and the other Kaurava heroes backing him. The fight between Yudhishthira and Shalya was like a contest between young tigers in the jungle fighting for a piece of meat. With speed and grace, they circled and deceived each other by mock action. Elated with the pride of their prowess, they wounded each other with their arrows. Shalya simultaneously attacked Yudhishthira and Bhimasena, cutting off the armor of both men. With well-aimed arrows, Shalya slew Yudhishthira's 4 horses and killed his chariot driver. Having stunned the king and his brother, Shalya then began slaughtering the Pandava forces. Now, beside himself with rage, Bhimasena shot long shafts which killed Shalya's horses and stopped him in his tracks. Bhima sent another 100 razor-faced arrows, cutting apart Shalya's armor. Shalya then took up a sword burnished in steel and a shield adorned with 1,000 stars. Leaping down from his chariot, Shalya rushed across the battlefield directly towards Yudhishthira, like a hawk swooping down on its prey. Bhima took careful aim, and with a broad-headed shaft cut Shalya's sword in two. And with another 20 arrows, Bhimasena broke apart Shalya's shield. Overjoyed, Bhima roared out his battle cry, while the other Pandavas laughed and blew their milk-white conchels. Now, seeing Shalya without any armor and on foot, deprived of his weapons, the Kauravas were filled with apprehension. Remaining on his horseless chariot, Yudhishthir took up a large golden dart. It had a handle worked with coral and was set with gems. Ajatashatru raised the effulgent dart and gazed angrily at Shalya, seeming to burn him with his glance. Uttering mantras and hurling that weapon with all of his force, Dharmaraj cried out, "You are killed!" The dart flew towards Shalya like a meteor dropping from the sky. Shalya cried out and tried to catch the dart as it fell upon him, but it slipped through his hands, striking him on the chest. It passed straight through him without obstruction and then entered the earth. Blood shot out from Shalya's mouth, nose, and ears. His arms flew up, and he fell to the earth like a mountain summit smashed by Indra's thunderbolt. And like a dear wife rising to embrace her beloved spouse, the earth seemed to rise in order to meet Shalya as he fell down. That king, having enjoyed this earth for so long, finally fell into her embrace and died. Yudhishthir and his brothers sent up triumphant shouts, while the Kauravas cried out in anguish. Dispirited, they fled from the fight, and the Pandava troops, seizing their advantage, rushed with raised weapons at their despondent foes. But then Shalya's younger brother charged Yudhishthir. He struck the king with a cluster of barbed arrows, which pierced him. Not minding the attack, Yudhishthir quickly raised his bow and responded with razor-faced shafts, cutting apart his attacker's bow. With one shaft, he cut down his flag standard, and with another arrow, severed his head from his body. Following the path taken by his elder brother, the handsome prince fell headlong from his chariot to the ground. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Victory or death are my only choices. Duryodhana looked on in despair. All around him, his troops were running in terror, leaving him alone to fight the Pandavas. Gripped by a wild rage, Duryodhana fought in a frenzy to the limit of his power. His arrows flew like blazing comets in all directions. No one could approach Duryodhana, as he single-handedly resisted all the great Pandava heroes. Kritavarma, Kripa Acharya, and Ashwatthama, seeing now Duryodhana's brave stand against their foes, quickly came to his support. The four Kaurava warriors checked the Pandava army like the shore resisting the waves of the ocean. And in a last desperate attempt to win the day, they pressed in towards Yudhishthir, who still stood upon his immobilized chariot. Seeing this, Bhimasena, Satyaki, Drishtadyumna, and Draupadi's 5 sons now surrounded the Pandava king. An exchange then took place between those warriors and the 4 Kauravas, filling the heavens with their fiery arrows. Shalya's army, the Madrakas, rushed back into the fight with loud shouts as they cried out, "Where is that Yudhishthir? Where is Drishtadyumna? And where is that Bhimasena? Why, we will slay them at once." But as those warriors charged into the fray, they were met by volleys of shafts discharged by the Pandavas. Cut to pieces, their chariots smashed, and horses slain, they fell by the thousands. As rows of brave fighters dropped to the ground, those following them stumbled and fell over their chariots. Horses screamed as their drivers pulled hard, trying to swerve clear of the melee. Fiery shafts rained relentlessly down as well-muscled arms and heads, graced with golden helmets, dropped to the earth by the thousands. And having annihilated the remnants of the Trigarta army, along with Shakuni's mountain warriors, Arjuna turned his arrows on the Madrakas, and with his unfailing and irresistible shafts, Sabyasachi soon slew 2,000 elephants along with their riders. The Madrakas uttered cries of terror as Bibatsu rode into their midst. Ruthlessly cut down by Vijay and his brothers, they took to their heels, only to find other Pandava heroes now standing in front of them. They cried out to Duryodhana for protection. Hearing their piteous cries, Shakuni came up to Duryodhana's side. "Oh, Arjuna has killed my entire force of warriors, and now he is slaughtering the brave Madrakas. O king, rally our forces and go to their assistance at once." But Duryodhana looked vacantly at his old uncle. His mind was sunk in dejection. Few of his forces remained. Those not slain were fleeing, and Duryodhana had made himself hoarse, shouting at them, trying to bring them back to the fight. Surely the war could not last much longer. Duryodhana looked around at the desolate scene. The Pandava troops were chasing his fleeing soldiers with shouts of joy. And now only a handful of his bravest fighters, Kripa Acharya, Ashvatthama, Kritavarma, and about a dozen of his brothers still survived, with less than 20,000 troops to support them. In a tearful voice, Duryodhana replied, "Oh, uncle, I am repeatedly hearing Vidura's words in my mind. It was only out of ignorance that I ignored his wise counsel. Just see the course of providence. Our once proud army has practically been annihilated. Bhima and Arjuna have wrought havoc among our men. Oh, what should be done? What should be done? I cannot return from this war defeated. Victory or death are my only choices. Keeping the duties of a Kshatriya uppermost in our minds, let us go forward into the battle for one final excursion. Now, put forth all of your power, O son of Subala. Maybe we will yet gain the day. Now, ordering their chariot drivers to urge on their horses, those two Kauravas charged into the fray, roaring out their battle cries. But the Pandavas were ready for them. With victory in sight, the Pandavas stood firm against their desperate foes, releasing waves of deadly shafts, cutting them all down. Duryodhana could only look on in horror as almost all of his remaining warriors were slaughtered. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Scene 7. Susharma slain by Arjuna, and Sahadev slays Shakuni. Seeing the Kauravas practically defeated, Krishna said, "O Dhananjaya, this war is virtually over. Millions of warriors on both sides have been slain. Our forces are now superior to the Kauravas. All that is needed now, in order to secure our victory, is the death of Duryodhana. For without killing him, there will be no end to these hostilities. For Duryodhana will never admit defeat. O Partha, exert yourself now to kill Duryodhana and end this ghastly conflict." Arjuna looked at Krishna. Although wounded, he shone with splendor as he held the reins of the horses. "O Madhava, you have spoken the truth. That evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra will fight to the very last man. It seems no one will escape death. Bhima has slain all of Duryodhana's brothers. Surely, in keeping with his promise, Bhimasena will also kill Duryodhana himself. So there stands Susharma, my old antagonist. His time has come, O Keshava. Now take my chariot towards that king." Arjuna pointed to Susharma, who was standing there releasing flaming shafts at the Pandava troops. Krishna urged on the horses, and within moments Arjuna stood before Susharma, who was being supported by 4 Trigarta princes. Immediately they attacked Arjuna in a body, striking him with hundreds of arrows. Moving with grace and skill, Arjuna assailed the princes like a hungry lion attacking a deer. With razor-headed shafts, Sabyasachi slew all 4, then turned on Susharma. He struck the monarch on his chest with 3 powerful shafts, and then killed his horses with 4 more arrows. And with another broad-faced arrow, Arjuna cut down Susharma's flag standard. Then, with a long golden shaft, inspired by mantra, Vijay pierced Susharma through the heart. And as Susharma toppled down from his chariot, Arjuna charged into the troops who were backing him. And nearby, Bhimasena was roaring and whirling his mace as he rushed against Duryodhana. He resisted Bhima valiantly, shooting thousands of arrows, holding him at bay. a short distance away, Satyaki fought against Kritavarma, while Drishtadyumna and the twins fought Kripa Acharya and Ashvatthama. While those heroes engaged in combat, Sahadev saw Shakuni assailing the Pandava army. Remembering his vow, Sahadev broke away from his fight with Kripa Acharya. He rushed towards Shakuni, shouting out a challenge. And as Shakuni turned to face him, Sahadev discharged fearful arrows which flew at the speed of the wind. Sahadev immediately cut Shakuni's bow apart and broke his flag standard. Undaunted, Shakuni took up another bow and fought back with greater energy, striking Sahadev with a volley of powerful shafts. Expertly, Sahadev warded off Shakuni's attack and replied with 60 keen arrows, hitting Shakuni on every part of his body. Sahadev followed that with another 80 shafts, sending Shakuni spinning on the terrace of his chariot, his bow flying off from his hand. Seeing his father's plight, Uluka rushed at Sahadev, releasing dozens of barbed arrows. In a moment, Sahadev spun around to face Uluka. Sahadev discharged a crescent-headed shaft which screamed through the air and beheaded Uluka. The huge-bodied warrior fell from his chariot, his head rolling away with his eyes staring out, his earrings gleaming from the dusty ground. Shakuni cried out, tears springing from his eyes. He remembered the wise words of Vidura. It had always been folly to nurture enmity with the Pandavas. The Subala monarch, still under Sahadev's attack, reflected sorrowfully on his life as he fought back. Shakuni's original anger with Bhishma for giving his sister to the blind Dhritarashtra was long forgotten. After befriending Duryodhana, Shakuni had become implicated in more and more treachery, even though in his heart he knew it would one day have fearful consequences. Yet Shakuni had been driven by anger and attachment, always ignoring the truth and hoping that by his cunning he could somehow destroy the Pandavas. Now he was facing the results. The fire of the Pandavas' anger had blazed up into a conflagration. Shakuni's entire army and even his own son had been killed right before his very eyes. Now, remembering his duty as a warrior, Shakuni gazed wrathfully at Sahadev. Perhaps he could at least avenge his son's death before dying himself. Shakuni raised his bow and placed a formidable-looking shaft on its string. But before he could even release it, Sahadev cut apart Shakuni's bow with 3 razor-faced arrows. Roaring in anger, Shakuni picked up a scimitar, hurling it at his foe. Immediately, Sahadev cut the spinning sword to pieces before it could reach him. As Sahadev countered the scimitar, Shakuni let go a dreadful mace, flying at Shakuni with a loud rushing sound. Sahadev struck the mace with a cluster of shafts, smashing it to pieces. Shakuni then hurled a dart at Sahadev, which he also checked. Seeing his weapons falling uselessly to earth, like the hopes of an impious man, Shakuni became afraid. Dispirited, Shakuni fled from the battle. Remembering his vow to slay Shakuni, Sahadev gave chase. He shouted at Shakuni to turn back and fight, but Shakuni did not listen. Racing up to Shakuni's side, Sahadev called out, "You fool! Why are you abandoning your duty? Do you not recall how you rejoiced in the Kuru assembly, you wicked man? You and that wretched Duryodhana are the only survivors of those who ridiculed us and insulted our queen. But not for long. Receive now the fruits of your evil acts. Stand and face me in battle, for I will cut off your head like a man plucking a ripened fruit." Goaded by Sahadev, Shakuni pulled up his chariot and turned to fight. He took up a lance adorned with gold and jewels, but it was cut to pieces even as Shakuni raised it over his shoulder. Sahadev sent searing, razor-faced arrows which tore off Shakuni's arms. Then, with an arrow as bright as fire itself, Sahadev cut off the head of Shakuni. And as Shakuni fell down, blood spurting from his trunk, the Kauravas wailed. Duryodhana cried out and even dropped his own bow. All the other warriors around Duryodhana threw down their weapons and ran away. Only a handful of Kaurava soldiers survived, and they found themselves surrounded by the Pandava forces. Unable to escape, they stood to fight, but were soon killed. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Scene 8. Duryodhana hides at the bottom of a lake. Seeing himself now alone, Duryodhana turned and fled from the battlefield. Jumping off from his chariot, Duryodhana dashed into the surrounding woodlands and ran until he reached a large lake. Bewildered and with a desire just to save his life, Duryodhana entered the water. And as he sank into the lake, keeping his life airs circulating within himself by yoga practice, the Kaurava prince used his mystic power to solidify the water around his body. After the departure of Duryodhana, only Kripa Acharya, Ashvathama, and Kritavarma remained. With their leader gone, they too decided to flee, and they raced away from the battlefield. But as they were fleeing, they met Vyasadeva. The rishi told them where to find Duryodhana and then disappeared from their midst. The three warriors went to the lake and saw Duryodhana's upper garment nearby. Realizing that he had entered the lake, they fell to the ground wailing, "Alas! The king did not know that we have survived. Oh, he has entered this lake in despair, without knowing that all is still not yet lost." They got up to their feet slowly and returned to their chariots, deciding to make their way back to the Kuru camp. Reaching the outpost, they found the guards grieving. The three men carried on into the camp, where they saw similar scenes. They heard the loud wails of the royal ladies in their tents, which sounded like the crying of flocks of birds. The ladies were being led out by the guards and placed on chariots, ready to return to Hastinapur. With their clothes and hair in disarray, their ornaments cast aside, they were a piteous sight. Many men were also setting out for the capital, unable to stay any longer in that desolate encampment. They rushed about here and there in their haste to leave, fearful that the Pandavas might arrive at any moment to finish them off. Unable to tolerate the mournful atmosphere, the three warriors returned to where Duryodhana was hiding. Kripa Acharya stood by the edge of the lake and called out in a loud voice, "O king, rise up, face your enemies. Just see how your men have given way to grief in your absence. The Pandavas are ranging about the battlefield looking for you. Their armies have been destroyed. Fight with them and gain control of this earth. Or, slain by them, rise up to heaven. Why do you tarry here? Ashvathama, Kritavarma, and I, Kripa Acharya, are here to help you. Surely you will win if you only continue the fight." And as he sat at the bottom of the lake, Duryodhana could hear the words of Kripa Acharya. Thus he called out, "Oh, by good fortune have you three heroes survived. O foremost of men, just let me rest here for some time, and then I will surely wage war once again. You are also tired and should rest. Refreshed and renewed, we may proceed towards the battle. O mighty armed ones, you are all noble, and your devotion to me is great. But it is not now the proper time to display your power. So let us rest for the night. In the morning I shall join you for the fight. Do not doubt this. Rise up, O king! Here I am, Ashvathama. May you fare well. We shall yet defeat the enemy. I swear by all my holy acts, I swear by all my gifts, and I swear by truth itself, I will slay the remaining Pandavas. Indeed, if this night passes without my killing them, I will not again enjoy the pleasure of performing sacrifices, a pleasure enjoyed by all pious men. O my king, I will not loosen my armor until the Pandavas are all killed. This is most certain." Shri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jaya Jaya Nrsimha. Prahlada Isha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Ahlada Dayani. Hiranya Kashipo Vaksha. Shila Kankat Nakalai. Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimho. Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrsimha. Bahir Nrsimho Hridaye Nrsimho Nrsimham Ading Sharanang Rapati Kabakara Kamalavare Nakamad Buddha Sringam Dalita Hiranya Kashipo Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Nrsimha Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Jaya Jagadisha Jaya Jagadisha Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare